11 years ago, I found myself immersed in the nightly rhythm of Walmart, donning the role of an overnight stalker in Department 8, the haven for all things pet-related. My nightly chores involved meticulously restocking shelves with pet food, toys, beds for dogs and cats, and an assortment of kennels. The routine was mundane until one ominous night when my expertise clashed with a decision that would forever alter my perception of workplace safety. Walmart had just invested in state-of-the-art high-rise shelves, boasting an impressive capacity of over a ton. Little did I know that these shelves would soon be at the center of a perilous predicament. After completing my usual tasks of stocking the regular freight and organizing the overstock in the bins, my boss dropped a bombshell on me. 8 pallets of Arm & Hammer cat litter were to be maneuvered onto these high-rise shelves. Now, these were no ordinary boxes. Each one contained a bonus 10 pounds, bringing their weight to a formidable 35 pounds apiece. The catch? They wanted all of them on those newly installed, supposedly indestructible shelves. A gnawing sense of apprehension crept over me. My intuition screamed danger, a premonition of an impending disaster. I questioned the decision fervently, my concern for safety bubbling to the surface. A fit ensued as I pleaded with my superiors, expressing my fears about the potential catastrophe waiting to happen. Yet, my manager, fueled by misplaced confidence, reassured me that the shelves could bear the weight. It was a baffling situation as other department managers rallied behind my concerns, acknowledging the risk, but the final verdict came from the main area manager who gave the green light. Reluctantly, I embarked on the task, gingerly placing box after box onto the towering shelves. The weighty responsibility bore down on me, both physically and mentally. Hours passed, and as I approached the final stretch, meticulously arranging the last 12 boxes on the bottom shelf, an ominous cracking and tearing sound shattered the silence. In an instant, chaos erupted, the high-rise shelves collapsed, burying me beneath an avalanche of cat litter. The entire store bore witness to the calamity. The bustling noise transformed into an eerie silence as the shelves crumbled. Panic ensued, but instead of a swift call to 911, my manager issued a baffling directive: no one was to dial for emergency assistance. Disoriented and battered, I managed to extricate myself from the rubble, blood staining my face, cuts hastily patched up. The shock of the incident reverberated through me as I staggered to my senses. Still grappling with the aftermath, I made a pivotal decision. I reached out to my then-girlfriend, a lawyer, sharing the details of the incident and the subsequent cover-up attempts by upper management. It was a move that would set the stage for a protracted legal battle. As the court date loomed, I was resolute. This was not just about seeking compensation for the physical and emotional toll, it was about holding those responsible accountable for their negligence. In the courtroom, the truth unfolded. My manager, who had been dismissive of my concerns, now sat silent and pale, confronted with the consequences of his decision. The legal proceedings were arduous, but justice prevailed, and we secured the resolution we sought. The compensation provided a semblance of closure, but the scars, both physical and emotional, lingered. Those 8 months at Walmart had transformed me from a novice into an experienced stalker. I had developed an innate sense for the intricacies of my job, a keen understanding of when a shelf or high riser could bear no more weight. Yet, my expertise was overshadowed by managerial overconfidence. The incident served as a stark reminder that no amount of experience could substitute for a collective commitment to workplace safety. Looking back, it was a harrowing journey, one that shook the foundations of trust between employees and management. The importance of transparent communication and a mutual respect for concerns about safety cannot be overstated. My experience underscored the need for a workplace culture that prioritizes the well-being of its employees over expedient decisions. In the years since, I have carried the weight of that night with me. It's a cautionary tale etched into my memory, a narrative that serves as a reminder of the fragility of workplace safety. The scars may have healed, but the lessons learned endure, shaping my perspective on the importance of accountability, transparency, and, above all, the preservation of human life in the face of corporate decisions. Working at Walmart from 2009 to 2011 brought forth a parade of faces, stories, and daily routines. The town I lived in was a haven for retirees, and the store became their regular stop for daily necessities. Elderly folks, opting for a different grocery shopping style, made brief visits every day rather than the customary weekly stock-up. It was an odd pattern, but it birthed connections. I made friends with these sweet souls who, despite their occasional transformation into Karens, radiated warmth. Amidst these everyday encounters, a peculiar old couple stood out, weaving a story etched in my memory. The routine was predictable. The old man, struggling to walk, claimed a corner bench amidst the mobility scooters. He preferred this over the scooter, an odd choice that intrigued everyone. While his wife shopped, he'd wait patiently, sometimes for up to 40 minutes. It was both weird and endearing. Over time, I observed their interactions, noting the routine, a hug, a kiss, and then a tranquil wait on the bench. He'd read a book or the local newspaper, perhaps catch a nap. It was clockwork until one morning when routine took an unexpected turn. I noticed them as usual. The hug, the kiss, standard procedure. But this time, as he went to plant a farewell kiss, something shifted. He removed his wedding ring and handed it to her. A sense of unease hung in the air. Their expressions betrayed a disquieting undercurrent. She looked concerned, and I, scanning groceries, couldn't help but glance in their direction, trying to decipher the sudden deviation from the norm. At first, I thought they had lost something, a wallet, some money, or maybe a phone. But it wasn't mundane misplacement. Something was profoundly amiss. Amidst their silent exchange, he gave her his wedding ring, an act that struck me as incongruous with their usual routine. As she tucked it into her pocket, he retreated to his bench, but this time, he wore an expression of profound sadness. In my attempt to understand the situation, I observed them from a distance, my curiosity veiled by the duties at hand. After a few minutes, she proceeded with her grocery shopping, leaving him seated on the bench. It was during this interval that the ordinary transformed into a scene of horror. I had just finished scanning groceries for a couple when the man, seated on the bench, began to choke violently. The coughing escalated, reaching a point where it sounded more like suffocation than a mere hiccup. Concerned staff rushed to his aid, attempting to decipher the cause of his distress. But as seconds passed, the situation spiraled into a nightmare. The man fell to his knees, still engulfed in violent coughing. Then, the unthinkable happened, he began coughing up blood. Panic surged through the onlookers as he gasped for air, blood streaming not just from his mouth but also from his eyes and ears. The store, once a bustling marketplace, now witnessed a macabre spectacle that left us frozen in horror. Reacting swiftly, my manager directed employees to form a circle around the man, shielding the gruesome scene from other customers. It was a surreal moment, as we stood hand in hand, compelled to bear witness to a tragedy unfolding before our eyes. Despite attempts by some to save him, it became painfully clear that it was too late. In a matter of minutes, the man lay lifeless, blood staining the floor. The arrival of paramedics only confirmed the inevitable. The coroner was summoned to collect his lifeless body, leaving us grappling with the aftermath. In the midst of this chaos, the wife was nowhere to be found. She had left the store, adding an additional layer of mystery to an already perplexing situation. In the aftermath, theories floated among my coworkers as we tried to make sense of the inexplicable tragedy. Some speculated that the man had orchestrated his demise, perhaps poisoning himself as part of a ritualistic farewell. The act of handing over his wedding ring, though, remained an enigma. It was a haunting experience that continued to linger, a topic of discussion whenever former colleagues reunited. As time passed, the trauma of that day persisted. The store, once a backdrop for mundane routines, had become the stage for a harrowing finale. It was a reminder of life's fragility, the thin veil between the ordinary and the extraordinary. The unanswered questions surrounding that fateful day lingered, leaving an indelible mark on my memory. In the years that followed, occasional meetups with former coworkers became an opportunity to revisit the shared trauma. Theories evolved, but closure remained elusive. The man's final moments, etched in blood and despair, continued to cast a long shadow over the collective consciousness of those who bore witness to that tragic Walmart day. Working the evening shift at Walmart in California was always an adventure, especially when dealing with the colorful characters that emerged after dark. We were trained to handle the occasional odd encounter, usually with individuals who were high or mentally unstable. Most times, they'd approach us with incoherent babble, and we'd play along until they eventually left. However, there were nights when we faced what we colloquially termed super nutters, individuals so disruptive that we had to resort to calling the police. One vivid evening remains etched in my memory, a night when a couple entered the store, their heated argument echoing through the aisles. It was apparent that their dispute revolved around drugs and who would lay claim to the last remnants. Storming through the store, their shouting and pushing escalated, drawing the attention of our security team. It was routine for them to intervene, urging unruly individuals to leave. But this time, we had no inkling of the unexpected turn the night would take. The couple veered toward the restroom, not just any restroom but the disabled one. As they disappeared behind the door, the air was filled with a sense of anticipation among us cashiers. We wondered how security would navigate this situation, as breaking down the door was not a feasible option. For the next few minutes, the sounds emanating from the restroom suggested a physical altercation was underway. The security team, diligent in their duty, knocked persistently, attempting to defuse the situation. 10 minutes passed before the couple emerged, but not in a calm manner. Instead, they burst out, pushing the security guard aside. Curiosity got the better of us, and as the security guard turned to assess the damage, his reaction was immediate and visceral. He began gagging uncontrollably, overwhelmed by an overwhelming stench. The couple had left behind a scene that defied imagination. The entire restroom was smeared with feces, a grotesque display that left the security guard visibly shaken. It turned out that the man, in the midst of their chaotic confrontation, had decided to use the restroom for a rather unconventional purpose. His actions had left behind a nightmarish cleanup for the custodial staff. Hazmat suits were deemed necessary for the task at hand, emphasizing the severity of the situation. As we grappled with the aftermath, the question lingered in my mind: was this job worth the potential risks and encounters with individuals willing to go to such extremes? The security guards, robust and imposing, were there to defend us if needed. Yet, the realization that someone could escalate a situation to such unsanitary and dangerous levels raised concerns about the inherent risks of the job. It went beyond the typical encounters with erratic behavior. This incident hinted at the potential for harm, not just to property but to individuals as well. In the aftermath of this bizarre encounter, I found myself reflecting on the nature of the job and its impact on my well-being. Was the paycheck worth the emotional toll and the potential for physical harm? It was a question that lingered, resonating with the deeper implications of working in an environment where the line between mundane and hazardous was often thin. As days passed, the routine resumed, but the memory of that evening persisted. Each subsequent encounter with erratic behavior reignited the question of whether the job was worth the risks. The balance between maintaining a livelihood and ensuring personal safety became a precarious tightrope walk. The incident also underscored the importance of ongoing training and support for employees dealing with such challenges. A more comprehensive approach to handling these situations, beyond the immediate security response, seemed necessary. Perhaps additional resources or counseling could better equip employees to navigate the emotional aftermath of such encounters. Communication with supervisors and the HR department emerged as a crucial aspect of navigating the aftermath. Expressing concerns about workplace safety and well-being should not be seen as a sign of weakness but as a proactive step toward fostering a more secure work environment. Employers bear the responsibility of ensuring the welfare of their staff, particularly in environments where unexpected and potentially harmful situations can arise. Ultimately, the decision to continue in such a role rested on a delicate balance between financial stability and personal safety. It prompted a reassessment of priorities and an exploration of alternative opportunities where the risks might be less pronounced. The Walmart evening shift, once a routine job, had become a testing ground for resilience and a reminder that sometimes, the unexpected can reshape our perspective on what we are willing to endure in the name of employment. Several years ago, I found myself working at Walmart, a place that, despite its reputation, wasn't as terrible as the horror stories I'd read on Reddit. My job was mundane, often bordering on boring, and thankfully, I never encountered issues like working off the clock or being mistreated. However, there was one incident that shook me to the core and made me question everything about the retail giant. I had recently inherited the toy department, a task that seemed daunting given its neglected state. The previous manager had been utterly incompetent and lazy, leaving the department in shambles for 6 months. Yet, I considered myself a toy department professional, confident that I could transform it into a space customers would want to explore. My first order of business was to physically clean the area. The Power Wheels rack had become a dumping ground for all sorts of items, and the mess was overwhelming. As I started moving the Power Wheels boxes, I noticed a strange rattling sound coming from one of them. Initially, I thought it might be a misplaced toy or a broken bag of screws. To my horror, as I moved the box, a wet streak appeared, and a hole in the corner revealed 2 mice scrambling out. I recoiled in shock, realizing the box was infested with vermin. I knew I had to remove it from the sales floor immediately. I grabbed a cart, loaded the box, and began my journey to the back, all the while mice feces and other unspeakable things cascading out of the bottom. It was a nauseating sight. In the back, I approached the woman in charge of damaged goods, explaining the dire situation. To my surprise, she insisted on marking it down rather than discarding it. I vehemently objected, emphasizing the safety and sanitary concerns associated with selling a toy filled with mice and their feces. A manager was called, and after a heated discussion, it was decided that the box needed cleaning and could be resold. The next day, to my disbelief, the filthy box was back on the sales floor. I couldn't fathom why someone would put it back out for customers to see and potentially purchase. Another round of arguments ensued, with the store manager eventually ordering the box to be cleaned properly. Reluctantly, I opened the box to assist, only to discover a horrific scene, a massive nest, dead mice, and filth everywhere. Gagging, I refused to continue and left the scene. Despite the gruesome experience, the toy department became my mission. I went to work revamping it, winning awards for sales and improvement. The store manager, responsible for the initial mishandling, was demoted and moved to another location. I never faced repercussions for my defiance, and my dedication to maintaining high standards in the toy department was finally acknowledged. Looking back, it was an unbelievable ordeal, but it taught me the importance of standing up for what's right, even when faced with management resistance. I managed to turn the toy department into a success story, ensuring that no other employee would have to endure such a nightmarish scenario. In the realm of Walmart, I embarked on a journey that spanned the spectrum of positions, starting from the bottom rung and ascending through years of toil and determination. My odyssey within the company was both grueling and rewarding, a testament to my unwavering commitment. Eventually, I found myself donning the hat of a department manager in the pharmacy section. Despite my ascent up the hierarchical ladder, I retained a close connection with the cashiers and customer service associates, my humble beginnings still vivid in my memory. As a relatively young manager, I was far from jaded and unkind. In passing, I'd greet colleagues with a friendly hello, inquiring about their well-being. Little did I know that such gestures would set me apart. Our team welcomed a new maintenance associate in the front lines, a young man with Down syndrome. His presence added a unique dynamic to our workforce. His appreciation for consistent friendliness and happiness became evident, a sentiment not shared by many in the workplace. I found him to be a sweet and diligent individual, embodying a strong work ethic. This young man, however, faced challenges in navigating the intricacies of the workplace. When confusion or distress befell him, he sought refuge in our interactions. I became a source of clarification and comfort, mediating on his behalf when necessary. It was a role I embraced willingly, understanding the fragility of his emotional state. One fateful day, as my shift neared its end, an urgent summons reached me through another associate. The maintenance associate was in distress, tears streaming down his face, unable to regain composure. Rushing to the scene, I discovered a disconcerting tableau, for salaried members of management encircling him, their voices raised in a cacophony of reprimand. They were not merely admonishing, they were berating him with harsh words, displaying a lack of empathy that bordered on cruelty. My instinctual response was swift and unyielding. Disregarding their positions of authority over me, I confronted the managers, ordering them to leave the distressed young man alone. My frustration and anger surged, a potent mix of emotions fueled by their callous treatment of someone so vulnerable. I took it upon myself to calm him down, unraveling the miscommunication that had led to this unfortunate episode. It transpired that the cause of the upheaval was a misunderstanding regarding breaks. Armed with this knowledge, I reminded him of the company's break policy, encouraging him to be more mindful in the future. A hug and a few reassuring words later, he resumed his duties, but the incident left a lingering bitterness in my heart. The audacity and insensitivity displayed by the upper management left me seething. How could they, in their positions of authority, subject this young man to such a degrading spectacle? My empathy had clashed with the callousness of those who were meant to lead by example. Driven by a sense of justice and compassion, I sought to advocate for the maintenance associate. I obtained the contact information for his caseworker, intending to ensure that his side of the story was heard. However, fate had other plans. Before the caseworker could return my call, upper management decided to terminate the employment of the young man for the purported violation of the break policy. Witnessing the heartbreak and despair in his eyes shattered something within me. They hadn't just terminated his employment, they had callously discarded him, breaking not just company policies but also breaking down a person who deserved understanding and support. 2 days later, I made a decision that mirrored my values and principles. I submitted my resignation, concluding that I could no longer be part of an organization that sanctioned such heartless actions. The incident with the maintenance associate had become the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. My resignation wasn't just a professional choice, it was a personal stand against the mistreatment of vulnerable individuals. Leaving Walmart behind was both liberating and melancholic. The familiar aisles and faces I had grown accustomed to now belonged to a chapter of my life that was closing. Yet, I walked away with my head held high, knowing that I had stood up for what was right, even if it meant severing ties with a familiar professional landscape. As I reflected on my time at Walmart, I acknowledged the importance of aligning personal values with workplace culture. A company that sacrificed empathy for the sake of adherence to policies was not a place where I could flourish. My journey had taught me the significance of compassion and the need to champion the rights of those who couldn't defend themselves. The tale of the young maintenance associate served as a catalyst for change in my life. I embarked on a quest to find a new professional haven, one where my dedication and principles could find resonance. The incident wasn't just an end but a new beginning, a chance to contribute to a workplace that valued humanity as much as productivity. And so, with lessons learned and conviction strengthened, I ventured forth into the uncharted territory of new possibilities. It was a typical Saturday afternoon, and I found myself with a laundry list of errands to tackle. Opting for the convenience of Walmart, the closest store to my house, I stepped through its automatic doors. However, the moment I entered, something felt off. The bustling crowd seemed unusually frenetic, a palpable tension hung in the air. Shoppers hurriedly snatched items from shelves, cramming their carts with an urgency that caught my attention. Ignoring the uneasy feeling creeping over me, I navigated towards the back of the store for groceries. The unease intensified as I wove through the congested aisles. It was as if the very atmosphere pulsated with an unsettling energy. I brushed off the feeling, attributing it to a hectic shopping day. Little did I know, events were about to take a dark turn. The sense of foreboding heightened as I continued through the store. The once familiar aisles now felt claustrophobic, the sea of people adding to the growing tension. Abruptly, a loud crash echoed from the front of the store, arresting everyone's movements. A collective freeze enveloped the shoppers. For a moment, the only audible sound was the rapid thumping of my heart. Abruptly, screams shattered the stillness, and chaos ensued. Panic set in as people shouted and sprinted in every direction. It was evident that something terrible was unfolding. Attempting to reach the front, I struggled against the panicked crowd. The aisles became a battleground of terrified shoppers, pushing and shoving, desperate to escape an unseen threat. Then, through the pandemonium, I spotted them. A group of masked men, brandishing weapons, had infiltrated the store. Their menacing presence sent shockwaves through the crowd. Shouts and threats filled the air as they knocked over displays, causing further disorder. Fear gripped me, realizing the gravity of the situation. I had to escape. Navigating the crowded aisles proved futile, the surge of panicked shoppers impeding my progress. Gunfire erupted from the front of the store, each shot intensifying the horror of the situation. The urgency to find an exit became paramount, but disorientation and fear clouded my judgment. Turning a corner, I came face to face with the masked assailants. Panic set in, rendering me motionless. Armed and dangerous, they posed a formidable threat. Bracing for the worst, I closed my eyes, awaiting the inevitable. But, to my surprise, a hand touched my shoulder, a store employee. She gestured urgently for me to follow her. Without hesitation, we slipped through a door marked "Employees Only" and found refuge in a small storage room. The chaos outside seemed distant in comparison to the newfound calm within. The employee handed me a phone, urging me to call the police. Dialing 911, I waited anxiously, the echoes of the mayhem still ringing in my ears. Minutes passed like agonizing hours, but eventually, the police burst into the room, guns drawn. Relief washed over me as they took control of the situation. I had survived the ordeal. Stepping out of the store, surrounded by other survivors, I couldn't shake the feeling of transformation. The fear and chaos of that fateful day had etched an indelible mark on my psyche. The normalcy of a Saturday afternoon had been shattered, leaving me forever changed by an experience I could never forget. The day I went to Walmart is etched into my memory as if it happened yesterday. It was a routine afternoon, and I had stopped at the store to grab a few essentials. As I entered, the overwhelming scent of cleaning supplies engulfed me, blending with the lively chatter of other shoppers and navigating the aisles. I meandered through the store, picking up various items and weaving through the maze of shelves. The ambience seemed ordinary until I approached the checkout line. That's when I overheard something that sent a shiver down my spine. Other customers were discussing an unsettling incident in the parking lot, a mugging. The police were supposedly on their way. I tried to dismiss it, to focus on my shopping, but the unease lingered. As I made my way towards the exit, I noticed a group of men loitering near the entrance. Dark hoodies concealed their features as they observed shoppers with an intensity that set me on edge. I avoided eye contact and hastened my pace, eager to leave. However, as soon as I stepped outside, an eerie quiet enveloped the parking lot. There were fewer shoppers in sight than usual, and an unsettling feeling crept over me. A knot tightened in my stomach. I wished I had paid more attention to the warning signs. As I approached my car, I noticed a tall, muscular man with a dark beard and piercing eyes standing nearby. His gaze locked onto me, and I felt a sense of dread. I tried to evade him, but he started following me. Instinctively, I quickened my pace, and he matched it effortlessly. His footsteps grew louder, echoing in my ears. Panic set in as I fumbled through my purse for my keys. They were elusive, and desperation surged within me. The man closed in, and before I could react, he lunged. I stumbled backward, hitting my head on the unforgiving pavement. A sharp pain radiated through my skull, and then, everything went black. When consciousness returned, I found myself in a sterile hospital bed, my head wrapped in bandages. My body ached, and confusion clouded my thoughts. The realization dawned upon me: I had been attacked and robbed. The man had vanished, taking all my belongings with him. The hospital staff explained the extent of my injuries, and the gravity of the situation sank in. From that day forward, the trauma lingered like a shadow, a constant reminder that danger could manifest unexpectedly. Walmart, once a mundane stop, now held a dark association in my mind. I vowed never to venture there alone again. The experience had left me scarred, physically and emotionally. The fear of the unknown permeated my daily life, and I became hyper-aware of my surroundings. Trust in the safety of public spaces shattered, replaced by an unsettling wariness. In the aftermath, the police investigation offered little solace. The assailant remained at large, leaving me with a gnawing sense of vulnerability. It became evident that the incident wasn't just a one-time occurrence but a catalyst for a profound shift in my perspective. I realized the importance of personal safety. Simple precautions I had previously overlooked became paramount. Being vigilant, avoiding poorly lit areas, and having a contingency plan were now non-negotiable aspects of my routine. The world, once perceived as relatively safe, now demanded constant vigilance. Emotionally, the journey towards recovery proved arduous. Nights were plagued by vivid nightmares, each replaying the traumatic event. Sleep became elusive, and the shadows of that fateful day loomed over my waking hours. The psychological toll prompted a decision to seek professional help. Therapy became a lifeline, a safe space to unravel the layers of fear, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress. Opening up about the incident, reliving the details, and confronting the emotions allowed me to reclaim a sense of control over my narrative. The healing process was slow, but each session brought a glimmer of resilience. Despite the scars, both physical and emotional, I emerged from the ordeal with newfound strength. The incident had forced me to confront the fragility of life and the unpredictability of human nature. It became a catalyst for personal growth, pushing me to reassess my priorities and embrace a proactive approach to safety. The scars, physical and emotional, served as a constant reminder of resilience. I became an advocate for personal safety, sharing my story to raise awareness about the potential risks in seemingly mundane settings. The vulnerability that once defined me transformed into a source of empowerment, a testament to the strength found in overcoming adversity. The incident at Walmart, while haunting, became a pivotal chapter in my life. It taught me the value of preparedness, the strength within vulnerability, and the importance of seeking support in the face of trauma. From that day forward, I navigated the world with newfound resilience, a survivor determined to reclaim the sense of security that had been stolen on that fateful afternoon. The sun beamed down as I stepped out of my last class for the day, ready to tackle a long list of items I needed to buy. Walmart seemed the perfect one-stop shop, and I headed there with the optimism of checking off everything on my list without much hassle. As I entered the store, I noticed a man in his mid-30s walking a few feet behind me. Initially, I dismissed it as mere coincidence, but as I maneuvered through the aisles, a growing unease settled in. He was following me. I attempted to shake him off by changing directions, but his persistent presence made it clear I was not imagining things. Clad in a black hoodie and jeans, his eyes seemed fixated on me. Attempting to diffuse the tension, I turned around and asked if he needed anything. He merely smiled and claimed to be shopping for the same items as me. Skeptical, I decided to forge ahead, hoping the crowded aisles would help me lose him. However, each time I glanced back, there he was, lurking in the shadows. Panicking, I quickened my pace, desperately hoping to lose him amidst the bustling crowd. As I made my way out of the store, my relief was short-lived when I realized he was still following me. Ignoring the persistent honking and flashing lights of his car, I jumped into my vehicle and started driving home. Yet, the man continued to tail me. Panic set in as I tried different routes, but he persevered. My heart pounded, hands shook on the steering wheel, unsure of what to do or where to go. Eventually reaching home, I breathed a sigh of relief when it seemed like he had given up the chase. As night descended, a strange noise at my back door startled me. Investigating cautiously, I turned the corner to see the man from Walmart standing there, a sinister smile on his face. He requested entry, claiming he only wanted to talk and insisted he meant no harm. Instinctively, I refused, feeling a deep sense of foreboding. Summoning courage, I dialed the police. They arrived promptly and apprehended the man. Shockingly, it was revealed that he had a history of stalking and had been tailing me for weeks, meticulously observing my every move. He had been patiently waiting for the opportune moment to strike. The realization that someone had been meticulously watching me, planning who knows what, left me traumatized. It was a chilling reminder of the unpredictable dangers that can lurk around us. The unsettling truth that we never truly know who is watching and waiting, urging us to remain vigilant and take precautions to protect ourselves. Grateful to have escaped unharmed, I reflected on the necessity of trusting one's instincts and taking immediate action when faced with a potential threat. The incident served as a stark reminder of the importance of personal safety in our daily lives. The aftermath left me shaken, but I knew I needed to share my story to raise awareness. Stalking is a serious crime that can escalate quickly, and the more we talk about it, the better equipped we are to recognize the signs and protect ourselves. The ordeal underscored the significance of being attuned to our surroundings and the potential dangers that may lurk beneath seemingly ordinary encounters. In the weeks following the incident, the weight of the experience lingered. The sense of vulnerability and the haunting thought of how close I came to danger were difficult to shake. Seeking solace, I leaned on the support of friends and family, sharing my story to alleviate the burden. It's crucial to acknowledge the emotional toll such events can take. Trauma, even when physical harm is avoided, can leave lasting scars. Seeking professional help proved instrumental in processing the emotions and regaining a sense of normalcy. Through therapy, I learned coping mechanisms to navigate the lingering fear and anxiety. In retrospect, I realized the importance of staying connected and alert. It's easy to become complacent in our routines, assuming a level of safety in familiar places. This experience shattered that illusion, reminding me that safety is an active pursuit that requires continuous awareness and preparedness. As time passed, the legal proceedings against the stalker progressed, providing some semblance of closure. Knowing that he was no longer a threat allowed me to slowly reclaim my sense of security. However, the scars, both visible and invisible, served as a constant reminder of the fragility of personal safety. The incident profoundly changed my perspective on personal security. It prompted me to share my story not only as a cathartic release but as a cautionary tale. It's easy to underestimate the potential dangers we face in our daily lives, but awareness and proactive measures can make a significant difference. In the end, I emerged from this harrowing experience with a renewed commitment to personal safety and a deep appreciation for the resilience of the human spirit. The scars may fade, but the lessons learned will endure, serving as a reminder to remain vigilant and prioritize our well-being in a world that can, at times, be unpredictably dangerous. During my freshman year of college, my friends and I found ourselves in the midst of a bizarre and terrifying ordeal that unfolded during what was supposed to be a routine evening adventure. The plan was simple: head to Walmart, grab some essentials, and then enjoy a laid-back session. Little did we know, this trip would take an unexpected and unsettling turn. Our destination was the Walmart, conveniently located at the corner of the street, nestled in a rather shady part of town. As we prepared for our excursion, my friend Jeremy shared a chilling tale of a past encounter at this very Walmart. He recounted an incident where a deranged man had chased him out, leaving an indelible mark on his memory. It was past 1 a.m., and the late hour coupled with Jeremy's eerie story had already set a spooky tone for the night. Undeterred by the late hour and the ominous backdrop, we embarked on the 10-minute walk to the Walmart. The dimly lit street heightened our apprehension, and an unexplainable fog hung in the air, casting an eerie ambience that seemed like a foreshadowing of the events about to unfold. Upon reaching the Walmart parking lot, a peculiar sight greeted us. Only 8 or so cars occupied the usually bustling space. Though typical for the late hour, an unusual fog added to the eeriness of the scene. We brushed off our unease and ventured into the store, drawn by a series of inexplicable sounds. A man's guttural screams echoed alongside the powerful revving of an engine, an odd symphony in the quiet aisles. Curiosity, perhaps fueled by youthful naivety, overpowered our growing sense of unease. Like a group of characters in a horror movie, we decided to investigate the source of the commotion ourselves, confident that our collective size would deter any potential threats. The possibility of a motorcycle crashing into the Walmart seemed like a plausible yet exciting explanation, but our excitement waned as we approached the garden section. "Something doesn't seem right, guys," voiced Arthur, while Bob visibly trembled. As we reached the garden section, disbelief washed over us. The deafening engine noise was not a motorcycle but a chainsaw, wielded by a deranged man who screamed threats at everyone in the store. His eyes radiated rage and malevolence, a sight beyond anything I had encountered in a human being. Our ill-fated plan to investigate had backfired spectacularly. The deranged man, now aware of our presence, fixated his gaze on the four of us. Without hesitation, he sprinted toward us, chainsaw in hand, the threatening noise growing louder with each passing second. Panic set in, and we screamed at the top of our lungs, fleeing toward the exit. For reasons unknown to me that night, my friends outpaced me, leaving me desperately trying to catch up as the chainsaw's menacing roar reverberated in the air. Every step seemed to bring the sound closer, and the fear of being chainsawed by a psychopath became an imminent threat. As I ran, another figure appeared on the scene, heading straight towards me. The dread intensified as I braced for a second threat, only to realize, to my immense relief, that it was a police officer. The police officer swiftly tackled the deranged man, disarming him of the chainsaw. The danger averted, I caught up with my friends, who had sought refuge behind a parked car. After a hasty retreat, we returned to Jeremy's dorm, where a silent smoke session replaced the light-hearted evening we had initially planned. Later, I learned that the chainsaw-wielding man was grappling with mental instability, a revelation that shed light on the inexplicable violence we had witnessed. He was admitted to a psychiatric ward, a bittersweet conclusion to an evening that had teetered on the brink of tragedy. Since that harrowing night, I've steered clear of that Walmart, and truth be told, any Walmart. The trauma lingered, creating an aversion to places that once seemed mundane. It serves as a stark reminder of the unpredictability that life can throw at you, even in the most ordinary settings. In the aftermath, I couldn't help but reflect on the fragility of our sense of security. The routine act of visiting a store turned into a nightmarish encounter, a stark reminder that danger can lurk where you least expect it. The incident also sparked a heightened awareness of personal safety and the importance of trusting one's instincts in unfamiliar situations. As time passed, the details of that night etched themselves into my memory, a vivid reminder of the thin line between normalcy and chaos. The experience left an indelible mark on our collective psyche, bonding my friends and me through a shared ordeal that, though terrifying, ultimately strengthened our resolve to prioritize safety and remain vigilant in the face of the unexpected. Though I've since moved on from that chapter of my life, the memory of that fateful night has become a cautionary tale, urging me to approach the seemingly mundane with a newfound awareness. It's a story I share with others, not just as a chilling anecdote, but as a testament to the resilience forged in the crucible of unexpected adversity. Late for work one afternoon, I found myself rushing through the chaos of life, grappling with the merciless hands of time. In my haste, I managed to spill coffee all over my pristine white dress shirt. Panic set in as I realized the potential embarrassment that awaited me at the office. With a sense of urgency, I veered into the local Walmart, hoping to salvage my day. The clock hovered around 2 p.m., and the Walmart parking lot resembled a labyrinth of cars, each jockeying for the coveted spots near the entrance. Rows upon rows were packed, and I maneuvered through the vehicular maze, wasting precious minutes. The inevitability of sporting a conspicuous brown stain on my white shirt loomed over me. Just when I was ready to resign myself to this sartorial mishap, a beacon of hope emerged in the form of an empty parking spot. It felt like an eternity, but I finally found my parking oasis. As I steered towards it, my relief was short-lived. Another man, seemingly out of nowhere, slammed his brakes, his eyes fixated on the same spot. I waved him off, uttering a half-hearted apology. To my surprise, he responded with a chilling smolder, his eyes locking onto mine. He revved his engine and sped away. A mere inconvenience, I thought, attributing it to someone having a bad day. I chuckled it off and proceeded into the Walmart, my stained shirt haunting my every step. Inside the superstore, life unfolded as usual, frowning faces, unruly kids, and a sea of people navigating with metal carts. I made my way to the clothing section, grabbed a fresh white shirt, and headed to the checkout counter. Finally armed with a clean shirt, I prepared to face my disgruntled boss and endure a long shift. As I approached my car, a peculiar sight caught my eye. The same man who had eyeballed the parking spot confrontation was now parked behind me. Squinting, I focused, and our eyes met again. He emerged from his vehicle, his face twisted in rage. The brewing storm of confrontation erupted as he charged towards me, hurling curses like daggers. I attempted to defuse the situation with apologies, but reason abandoned him. His anger intensified with each step, and the hatred in his eyes was palpable. Desperate to escape, I scrambled back into my car, but he was quicker. He seized my arm, yanking me out and throwing me to the ground. I regained my footing and fled, but his pursuit was relentless. I could hear his heavy breaths and feel the heat of his rage on the back of my neck. Managing to start my car, I peeled out of the parking lot, leaving him behind. Yet, an eerie feeling lingered, an unsettling certainty that he was still watching, biding his time for a vengeful strike. The next few days became a harrowing experience, a perpetual state of paranoia. I was on edge, perpetually glancing over my shoulder, afraid to revisit that Walmart parking lot. The nightmare escalated as strange occurrences enveloped my life. My car became a canvas for vandalism, and threatening messages invaded my personal space. Convinced it was him, I sought refuge in the arms of the law, only to be met with skepticism. The police dismissed my plight as a mere road rage incident, urging me to shake off my perceived overreaction. Trapped in a web of fear, I struggled to convince others of the imminent danger lurking. The man haunted my every waking moment, a phantom threatening to materialize at any turn. I attempted to gather evidence, documenting each incident meticulously, but the sinister game continued. My pleas for help fell on deaf ears, leaving me stranded in a nightmare with no escape. Days turned into restless nights as I grappled with the relentless torment. Sleep became a distant luxury, replaced by the constant vigilance of a hunted prey. Friends and family offered sympathetic ears, but the specter of the man persisted. The fear gnawed at my sanity, leaving me helpless against an unseen adversary. Fearing for my safety, I embraced precautionary measures. Security cameras adorned my home, a futile attempt to capture the elusive tormentor. Every outing became a calculated risk, a delicate dance to avoid the predator's unseen gaze. The routine changed, and the once familiar became a source of dread. Returning to the police proved futile, and my pleas for intervention fell on indifferent ears. The system failed me, and I was left to navigate the treacherous waters alone. Seeking legal counsel, I explored avenues to protect myself, but the legal labyrinth offered no swift resolution. The nightmare persisted, an inescapable purgatory. As the days blurred into a nightmarish continuum, my desperation reached new heights. The emotional toll was immeasurable, a heavy burden carried in solitude. The once vibrant hues of life dulled into shades of paranoia and despair. Each passing moment was a step closer to the edge, a precipice where the darkness threatened to consume me whole. In the depths of despair, I clung to the flickering flame of hope. Friends rallied, offering support and solace. Together, we devised strategies to outsmart the relentless tormentor. Legal avenues were explored with renewed vigor, and the fight for justice regained momentum. The tide began to turn when a breakthrough in the form of additional evidence emerged. Security footage captured glimpses of the elusive assailant, providing a face to the torment. Armed with this newfound proof, the legal battle gained momentum, and law enforcement could no longer turn a blind eye. A restraining order was secured, providing a legal barrier between myself and the tormentor. The wheels of justice, once sluggish, began to turn. The police, now armed with undeniable evidence, launched a thorough investigation. The tables had turned, and the predator found himself ensnared in the web he had meticulously woven. With each passing day, the grip of fear loosened. The nightmare that had held me captive for so long began to dissipate. Legal proceedings brought a semblance of justice, and the once unseen threat was apprehended. The relentless pursuit of vengeance was replaced by the cold embrace of consequence. Rebuilding life from the ruins of fear proved to be a slow, arduous process. The scars of the ordeal ran deep, but with the support of friends, the healing began. Therapy became a sanctuary, a space to unravel the trauma that had woven itself into the fabric of my existence. As time passed, the specter of the past faded, and a newfound strength emerged from the crucible of adversity. The road to recovery was paved with resilience, courage, and the unwavering support of those who refused to let me succumb to the darkness. The nightmare, though etched into the annals of memory, became a testament to the indomitable human spirit, a spirit that prevailed against the shadows and emerged into the light, scarred but unbroken. As I strolled out of Walmart with my son's eagerly anticipated toy in hand, excitement bubbled within me. Weeks of relentless pleading from him had finally led to this moment, and I couldn't wait to witness the sheer joy on his face when he tore open the packaging. Little did I know that the elation would soon turn into a spine-chilling encounter that would leave me questioning the safety of my family. Arriving home, my son wasted no time immersing himself in play, but my delight was short-lived. A peculiar voice emanated from the toy, low, incomprehensible mutterings that sent shivers down my spine. A disconcerting feeling gripped me as I snatched the toy away, desperately trying to make sense of the bizarre sounds. Nothing appeared amiss on the surface, but the haunting voice persisted, issuing from an undisclosed source within the toy. Concern escalating, I opted to dismantle the toy, a decision that would reveal a sinister truth. Hidden within the innocent facade of my son's plaything lay a tiny camera and tracker. Shocked and outraged, I grappled with the implications of this clandestine invasion of our privacy. Why would someone intentionally insert surveillance equipment into a child's toy? The mind-boggling revelation left me unsettled, my sense of security shattered. In a frantic state, I reached out to the police, who promptly arrived to investigate. Their initial assessment suggested espionage, an unfathomable violation of our personal lives. The police assured me of their commitment to tracking down the perpetrator and bringing them to justice. In the meantime, a cloud of uncertainty hung over my household, forcing me to implement immediate precautions. With a heavy heart, I discarded the tainted toy, determined to fortify our defenses against this unseen threat. Changing passwords and ramping up security measures became my urgent mission. The incident had thrust me into a reality where the familiar became suspect, and trust was a luxury I could no longer afford. Days turned into restless nights as I grappled with the aftermath. The once reassuring surroundings now harbored a lurking fear, an awareness that danger could manifest in unexpected forms. I questioned everyone and everything, unsure of who to trust in a world that seemed to have betrayed our innocence. As I sat in my living room, attempting to regain a semblance of normalcy, an unexpected knock at the door jolted me back into a state of high alert. The recent trauma resurfaced, rendering me hesitant to answer. My hand trembled as I slowly turned the doorknob, revealing a man whose voice sent chills down my spine, a voice I recognized from the haunting sounds emitting from the toy. His menacing gaze bore into mine, and a sense of dread enveloped me. The disheveled appearance of this unwelcome visitor heightened my unease. It dawned on me that the very person who had violated our privacy was standing on my doorstep, and a wave of fear washed over me. Reacting on instinct, I slammed the door shut, securing it with a frantic urgency. The man's threats and pounding on the door reverberated through the house, a nightmarish symphony of danger. Panic set in as I grappled with the realization that my family was under siege, the safety we once took for granted now shattered. Just as despair threatened to consume me, the distant wail of sirens cut through the chaos. Relief washed over me like a tidal wave as the police, my last line of defense, arrived to confront the intruder. Peering through the window, I witnessed the swift and decisive actions of the officers as they apprehended the man responsible for the violation of our privacy. The arrest brought a momentary sense of security, but the scars of the ordeal ran deep. The voice that had haunted us was now silenced, but the trauma lingered. Grateful for the police intervention, I couldn't shake the feeling of vulnerability that clung to our lives. The subsequent investigation revealed that the man harbored malicious intent, using the toy's hidden camera and tracker to spy on our every move. The violation of our private moments, the invasion of our sanctuary, left me grappling with a profound sense of betrayal. The police assured me that justice would be served, but the emotional aftermath lingered. Haunted by the experience, I vowed to remain vigilant. The illusion of safety had been shattered, replaced by a constant awareness of the potential dangers lurking in the shadows. A renewed commitment to safeguarding my family became my driving force. The incident served as a sobering reminder of the unpredictable threats that permeate our seemingly ordinary lives. The digital age had ushered in unprecedented conveniences, but it had also opened the door to insidious dangers. My faith in the world had been tested, but with the support of law enforcement and a fortified sense of resilience, I vowed to rebuild what had been shattered. The scars would remain, but so would the determination to protect those I held dear from the unseen perils that lurked in the corners of our existence.